Owen. Hey Owen, thanks for a question. Owen's been a fiddlehead for a little while and he's a very kind soul, so appreciate that you're still with us. So let's see. In your lesson on triad scales, you mentioned that each triad represents a chord. I can play chords with 2 notes. Are these triads 3-note chords? Okay, so that's a good question. So the short answer is yes. So like a triad is a 3-note chord. If you're playing piano, so let's look at it. For those of you who don't know, triad is just a series of 3 notes that outlines a chord. And I'm not sure how much deeply I'm going to explain what a triad is right now, but I'm going to play one for you. So if we're in D major, a D major triad would be open D, which is the first note, second finger, which is the 3rd degree of the step, the 3rd step of the scale, and then the 5th step, which is open A. That's a D major triad. And I'm going to give you a flash lesson on building chords on the fiddle. Okay, so the fiddle, we have to pick 2 out of those 3 because without doing a lot of intense string crossing, which is very busy and might be kind of distracting, we can really only do two strings at once and have it kind of sound smooth and nice. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take that original thing I showed you, the triad. We're going to pick 2 out of 3 notes to play. So if this is D major triad, we can pick either D and A, and that makes a D major chord, or we can pick the 2nd finger in open A, and that makes a D major chord. We could also pick the 2nd finger, and instead of playing open D, we play D with the 4th finger on G. So with those 3 notes, we have those combinations. Any of those will work as a D major chord. So say I'm doing Arkansas Traveler. Do 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 do, and I'm just playing the backup part on fiddle. Da na 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 na. The easiest chord always is just, if you can, do an open 2 open strings, open D and A. And then you could also do this chord, D2 and open A. Do 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 do, or D2 and G4. Do 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 do. And I'm not changing the chords yet, but you could. Okay. So I've got a lot more lessons on this, and I'll put them in the office hours notes. I have a whole series of lessons on chord backup, but we could, sticking with the same chord, we could play the higher octave of it. So what we just did was D, F sharp, A. We could do the higher octave, which would start A3 and be D, F sharp, A. Same letter notes, but these are higher sounding. And then we can just pick 2 out of the 3 again. So that makes a D chord. That's A3 and E1. And then A3 and E3 makes a D chord. All right. And so, okay, so that's a quick, sorry it's so quick, but for those of you who've already learned this, I don't want to spend the whole time on it. I really could spend the whole lesson on this. So, or on any of these questions, I think. So by default, a lot of these answers are a little shorter and you'll have to explore further with it. But Owen's question was about something called the Triad Scale, which is this thing I came up with. I came up with the name, I'm sure it's been done before, but it's basically doing a triad on every step of the scale, the D major scale. And that would be the triad scale for D major. All those notes are in D major. And so Owen's original question was, how would you make the are these triad chords 3-note chords? And I just wanted to close this question by saying you could do the same process for any of those chords or any triad. Sorry if this is all going by quick and fast. I feel like I just realized I feel like I'm talking really fast. I'm gonna try to slow down. So the first step we already did, and then the next step, the triad scale. So you could do the same process. Those are 3 notes. You can just pick two of the 3, or these 2. So this particular chord would be E minor. So we could pick D1 and A1, or D3 and A1. So just one last point. Why bother with chords? Well, as a fiddle player, you don't need to know them, but they can really make your playing sound more interesting. If you learn how to play chords, you can be more useful. You can be you can play with other people and play backup. You can also start to add chords to your tunes. Here's a Jaso'n farewell with chords added. So you can really add a lot of color and fill in a lot if you know chords, or you can play backup, which is very useful.
Go to fiddlehead.com for a progressive step-by-step course outline, color-coded tabs, play-along tracks, sheet music, and much more. Thanks for watching the video. Excellent! And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.